The Spiral, Chapter 9, The Identity Stealers. Outside the tunnels were hill slopes that supported stunted bushes and thorn bushes. Sterile beauty invited animals that thrive in harsh conditions. Over the hills were greener pastures and thick foliage trees. To these trees, birds flocked and nested, while other animal species ate their fruits and leaves. To these slopes by the cherry tree, Dakira and Luta agreed to meet. Dakira felt Gora's eyes everywhere since she refused to obey him that day in front of others. Even in her sleep, she felt him hovering over her. As always in her sleep, she acquiesced to all he said. However, stirred by the life within her, soon she ate less of the drug food that made her fall into a stupor-like sleep every night. Her resolve to get away grew stronger as the baby grew and kicked her. Gora's nightly threats and binding curses loosened with each stronger sense of the baby's kicks, and the intense headache left her. What Dakira thought was safety and love from Gora became a vice that tightened from the moment she agreed to live with him in the labyrinth. The sweet promises evaporated to be replaced by a controlling obsession in Gora. Gora's wolf became her prison keeper instead of a guard dog. The day to look for herbs with Luta came as it coincided with Gora's training session with the children. With a calm haste, she prepared herself to go to the meeting place at the cherry tree. Gora's wolf lay asleep, growling ever so slightly as she picked up a basket of food. It struggled to its feet only to collapse on wobbly legs. Dakira made sure the night before to feed it her drug food. Through binding spells and curses, Gora sought to subdue Dakira and to make her into his shadow. There was always a part that he could not touch. Of late, with the baby, she became harder to control. He brushed off the nagging doubt that the baby might not be his because he believed he was in sole possession of Dakira. Guards with wolves at the entrance recognized and acknowledged her status as Gora's wife, though the wolves kept lunging at her and the guards had to pull back the rope that held them. Her pretext to leave the tunnels was to look for herbs to ease her nausea and to nourish herself and baby. Luta was allowed to accompany her. Although confused, the guards let them go out as there were others behind them waiting. Meanwhile, at the training session, the children were trained to be silent and to stand motionless. Nothing moved except for the eyes that followed Gora, moving here and there. But more than that, Gora's eyes mesmerized them. They also were fascinated by the mist that swirled around Gora and his movements that seemed to weave a spiral all over him. However, none of the children dared to look beyond Gora. There in the shadows were an ancient group of creatures which moved long ago from the pits of the earth and found ways to live among earthmen. Being creatures of darkness, they could not withstand the light of day. The one way to extend their influence beyond the tunnels was to steal the identity of an earthman. Some insinuated themselves into animals and plants. Favorites were trees that saw people hung from their boughs, houses known for tragic tales, or mystical looking water spots. Earthmen avoided such trees, for nearing it was like entering a different dimension. There was a change in aura or atmosphere. Some could smell odors, either sweet or rotten. Those with eyes to see saw a misshapen tree. The most prize was to gain hereditary right in the generations of Earthmen. It was here that great battles were fought by Earthmen to evict the intruders.